Hello, and welcome to the channel. And welcome to part 4 of the Genshin Pets as Human series. If you haven't seen the previous parts, I've left a link to a playlist containing the entire series. I'll quickly reiterate the criteria for a pet since I only really specified it in part 3. A pet has to accompany a playable character, have a name and/or personality, and appear during gameplay. Extra points if they also appear during an idol. Under these criteria, Mizuki's Baku would be pets, but Lanyan's little woven bird wouldn't. I also will be doing human designs for pets that are basically chibi versions of playable characters, so no Baron Bunny and no Tamato. With that out of the way, we're starting with Manzai is Gaming's companion and a Swanee, which in the most basic terms possible is a hybrid of a lion and a dragon. For the human design, I knew I had to make him a little boy. His idol animation with Gaming reminded me of a little kid excited to see an older sibling or cousin, which was reinforced by the fact that Gaming's burst is basically Manzai getting tossed and running back to get tossed again. The fact Gaming calls him a rascal with hyperactive energy was the nail in the coffin. Manzai is little kid coded confirmed, don't at me, I'm right. When I started doodling him, I thought about giving him a dragon dancer costume, but the more I drew him in different versions of it, the less I liked the idea. I knew I wanted him to look kind of fluffy, so his little neck fluff stayed fairly consistent throughout. I also wanted to give him a headpiece, but I didn't want it to look too much like Gaming's cap hoodie combo, which, by the way, is just the coolest thing ever. I feel like it should have been a permanent thing, like Sayu's hoodie, where it only falls off from time to time, but it's basically on most of the time. Anyway, back to Manzai. At some point, I ended up looking up cat and tiger themed Chinese hats, thinking maybe they were a thing, and luckily, they were. I found all sorts of traditional handcrafted hats made for children, but it's only when I stumbled on these specific hats that I finally felt a burst of inspiration. I drew one that was basically just original Manzai's head, which is kinda cheating, but also it looks so cute and goofy. I couldn't not give him his silly little hat. While I was pretty much satisfied with my hat idea, I was still struggling with the outfit. I gave him a vest with huge sleeves to emulate his flame body. The shirt was also kind of supposed to emulate the fire of his body, but I ended up changing the color afterwards. But that's not important. What's important is that I quite liked how the top looked and decided to try giving him shorts rather than lion dancer pants, and immediately loved how it looked. For his final design, I wanted a cute and dynamic pose, since human Manzai is basically a rowdy little kid. The design is basically the same as the sketch, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about some details of the thought process behind them. For his shoes, I basically just took inspiration from Gaming's because the shoes are cute. They're cute shoes. I made them look more like boots so I could add fur, since he has that around his paws. I did something similar with the gloves, except I didn't want them to look too much like paws or cat mittens or something, so in the end they're regular gloves with all the fingers but the thumb, colored yellow to reference Manzai's claws. For his hair, the little rivet you can actually see, I gave him some spiky hair with pink streaks to imitate his fire whiskers. Looking back at it, it kind of makes him look like an early 2000s anime kid main character, which is kind of funny, since everyone kept saying Gaming looked like a Bakugan character when he was released. Full circle, we love that. And here's the little guy. As you can see, I changed his top from yellow to green, mostly because it complemented his design a lot better and he matched Gaming more that way. Here's the chibi of him and Gaming. The second design is actually two designs. Grin Milking Hat and Boggle Cat Box. They're not really characters, but I figured since I'd previously done designs for Shiro and Kulan and Bear, who also aren't really characters, I could just group them together and give them designs. Grin Milking Hat and Boggle Cat Box can be summoned by Linne and Lynette respectively. They both are castons and have very similar aesthetics. Grin Malking Hat does have another form, but it felt too close to Linnea's design, and I like the contrast between its original form and Boggle Cat boxes a little better. I already knew I wanted them to have contrasting body types as humans, with Grin Malking Hat being a short and chubby dude and Boggle Cat Box being a tall, lanky gal. Just like Linnea and Lynette, he's the jolly one and she's the introvert. Although I wanted her to have more of an irritated air to her compared to Lynette's calmer vibe. I also wanted them to have the same cat ears hairstyle, with Boggle Cat having long bangs that twist around like those wings she has in her original form, and Grin Malkin's being shorter. I kinda wanted him to look like a little lord. I wanted them to have one eye hidden, Grin Malkin's with a star patch, and Boggle Cat with a teardrop patch, with a little sticker under their eye mirroring each other's patch, something Linnea and Lynette also have in their designs. Once I moved to their outfits, I had a pretty good idea of what I wanted them to look like. I wanted them to match Linnea and Lynette's magician look, but with a lot more color, so I immediately gave them vests. I gave Grin Malkin a little cape to imitate the hat he's in, and initially gave him a big bow in the back before deciding against it. For Boggle Cat, I had the idea of wrapping a white ribbon around her waist to reference her spring, and that gave me the idea of using her shorts as a stand-in for her hat. I also gave her mismatched socks and boots, mostly because I was really loving her design. I did a last color test for Grin Malkin, adding some checkboard patterns to his vest, something I did for Boggle Cat as well. I gave her a super small cape as well to see if it worked, but I liked her without it more, especially since that meant she mirrored Lynette more. When I moved to the final design, I used the little doodle I'd done of them as inspiration for their pose. I wanted something a little cheeky that really showcased the contrast between them. Honestly, while drawing them, I kept thinking of Patty and Liz from Soul Eater. I ended up adding some detailing to both their boots, with little bows with cat motifs on them. Grin Malkins are all grinning, but I thought it'd be neat if Boggle Cats were frowning. I have surprisingly little to say about these designs, but they're fairly straightforward. I did go a little crazy on their background art compared to everyone else, so you can probably tell I was having a little too much fun drawing these two. And here are their final designs. Grin Malkin kinda looks like a little vampire now that I'm looking at him. Still love how they both came out. Here's a chibi of them and the twins performing a magic trick. The last design of the video is Pear, a little clockwork penguin made by Freminet. Pear is a source of comfort and strength for Freminet, and he considers him a part of his family. I went into this design knowing I wanted Pear to look like a diver to match Freminet. I knew there were a bunch of concept art of all Freminet designs floating around the interwebs, and I didn't want them to influence me, so I kept my research strictly to actual old diving suits. I did a few basic sketches before deciding on something that would look a little big on him, with the neck piece hiding his chin and neck completely. I like the straps on the original dive suit, so I turned them into suspenders. The suit design didn't change too much from sketch to sketch, with most of the overthinking going to the hats of all things. I wasn't sure if I should make it a cap to imitate the penguin beak, if I should keep it the way it was and just add goggles. In the end, I gave the goggles a little beak. After a while, I decided I could take a peek at some concept art to give myself ideas to spice the design up a little. I liked this one the most, especially since it was fairly close to my design. I really liked what they did with the shoes, so I basically just stole them and turned his pants into shorts with leggings underneath. I just stole the entire bottom half of the design basically. I did decide to make the pants a little longer so the leggings would imitate Pear's original super tiny robot legs. I made his hair the same shape as a penguin tail and added his clock winding key to some sort of gizmo on his back. Not supposed to be anything, especially since it's hidden. After that, I finally had a design I liked, so I added some colors and moved to the final design. I kept the pose pretty close to what I'd drawn in the sketch. With Remini using him for comfort, I liked to imagine he was a warm and cheerful guy, so I wanted to reflect that in his pose. Human Prairie is fairly simple, all things considered, and I wonder if I should have taken a few more elements from Remini's design to make it more elaborate. I'm not used to adding little details the way Genshin likes to do, so I tend to reference other characters for inspiration. But I'll admit I didn't really do that for Pear, and I feel like it shows a little. What can I say? I like it when things are simple and easy to draw. And here's the final design. Despite my complaining about his design being a little too simple, I'm pretty happy with the final result. Here he is, comforting Famine with some head pats. And there we go. It was nice to get back to this series. I'm glad I decided to make these videos a little bit longer because it turns out I have a bunch of stuff to say for some of these designs. I hope you guys enjoyed my rambling. Which of the designs was your favorite? If you already know what mine were, I wasn't very subtle about it. If you want to see more human designs and some other stuff I have in store, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you'll be notified once I post the next video. The next part of the series will be a Furina special, because she decided she had to have more than one pet. Go off, Queen. You deserve it. Anyway, thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.